Kia ora, Helen Brahms coming to you live from Escondido in California on an absolutely gorgeous, well actually it's not a gorgeous sunny day anymore because it's nighttime. So I got a question today from, where did I get the question from? Got the question today from Celeste. So Celeste would like to know, when you get on how do you get to know a cruise ship? On some cruise ships you're only on there for a short time, 2 to 3 nights, 4 nights, whatever, and other ones you're on there a longer time. So she gets that the fact that the longer you're on the ship, the more you get to know the ship. Is there a quicker way for when you're on a shorter cruise? Well, my advice for anybody as soon as you get on a cruise ship is to go exploring. I always advise my clients, especially if it's their first time, my cruise virgins, I always advise my cruise virgins, as soon as you get on the ship, go straight to, and I will tell them exactly where on the ship the buffet is, because the buffet is always open, is open for lunch as soon as you get on the ship. So I send them straight up to the buffet, and I say, check in as early as they allow you to check in. The sooner you check in, then the sooner you can get on the ship. If the ship hasn't been cleared for boarding yet, then they will put you in an area, and as soon as the ship is cleared, they will start with those that have checked in early. They do have some cruise lines do have preferential if you are in a suite, if you're in a different class of cabin, like if you're in a suite, or if you're like on Royal Caribbean, not Royal Caribbean, Celebrity, that have Aqua class or the concierge class, they get to board after the suites but before the general public do, type of thing. So as soon as you get on board the ship, the first thing you do is go to wherever the buffet is and have lunch. So get on as soon as you can and go straight to the buffet and have lunch. Because the reason I tell people to do that is because you're getting there before it gets too crowded. Because everybody is eventually going to end up in the buffet area, because typically on a cruise ship you cannot get into your cabins till around 2 p.m. because they're still turning them over. You have to remember, a cruise ship is a floating resort. It is a hotel. Now, I've got a background in hotels, and I have seen what happens when we've had, I was in a hotel with 159 rooms, and we had I think we had an 80% turnover one day. We had 80% of the hotel checking out and checking back in, and we had a lot of rooms to clear. So do the math on 159 rooms, how many rooms that is. I am not a mathematician. I have no clue. All I know is 10% would have been 15. So I guess that's times 8. So if you think about it, they are basically turning over an entire hotel, and some of these cruise lines have thousands of rooms. You got ships that hold 2,500 people. Cut that in half, that's basically the number of rooms that they have. So they are turning over an entire hotel, going into the rooms, stripping them down, so stripping all the bedding off the beds, remaking all the beds with fresh new bedding and everything else, and then they have to look to see, are we putting, and the cabins usually have 2 beds that they put together to make a king, or an oversized queen, a smaller sized king, or sometimes a king, depending on the size of the twin bed they use. So think about this. They are going in there. This is why they want you out of the rooms early on as well, because they go in there, they strip the rooms. All the bedding gets taken out, all new bedding gets put back in, and then of course they have to look at the thing to see, am I making this up as 1 bed or am I making it up as 2 beds? And then of course all the towels have to get, everything has to get cleaned, and they are very wary of any contamination with what's that thing called? The norovirus, stuff like that, the very contagious stuff in that. So they make sure they do thorough cleanings and everything else. So they are basically having to turn. So they basically go through, strip everything, then they go through and make the rooms up. They clean them. They put all the new fresh linens in there. They do all the vacuuming and everything else. They put in all the literature they've got to put in there for you when you get there. If there's gifts to be left in your room, then they have to get delivered to your room. There is a lot of work. I have seen these guys work, because as a travel professional, when we get taken on a tour of the ship, while it's in port being flipped, we actually get to see these room stewards doing these rooms, and they are flying through these rooms. They have it down to such a fine science that they know that from 9 o'clock in the morning to 2 o'clock in the afternoon, they have to get whatever the number of rooms is turned over, and they usually have 2 people working on each room. And they have a system. They have an amazing system in place. So anyway, back to what do you do when you first board the ship. So how you get to know the ship is you go up and have lunch first. And because you're not going to get into your cabins till around 2 o'clock. Most of the people boarding the ship are going to start coming on probably around 1 o'clock-ish. And the buffet area is going to start getting very busy at that time. busy to the point that you're not going to be able to find tables. So this is why I tell my clients, get on the ship as soon as you can and get up to the buffet and have lunch as soon as possible. As soon as you finish lunch, go up to the top deck, whichever it is, and start walking from one end of the ship to the other, backwards and forwards down the decks, finding out where's the spa, where's that great reading space, where's the jogging/walking track, where's the fitness center, where are the different bars and lounges, just cataloging. And it's not necessarily you have to remember where everything is, but it is to give you an idea of where things are. I learned this the hard way because my very first cruise, we're on it the day before we got off, and we were on it for 7 nights. The day before we got off the ship, I found my perfect reading spot. That's me. I get on the ship, have my lunch, and then I'm off to find my perfect reading spot. Where am I going to go and sit and hide, read, write, all of that sort of stuff? And I found it the day before I got off the ship. So that was sort of like, there has to be an easy way to do that. So ever since then, as soon as I get on the ship, it's straight in for lunch. As soon as lunch is over, it is straight up to the top deck and start walking down the ships. And of course, then you get to the levels that have just all accommodation. Skip those ones, go back, and I'm just looking on the public area ones. Where are the restaurants? Where are the specialty dining restaurants? Where's the coffee shop? Where is everything? Is basically what I'm doing. So you get an idea of where things are, and then when you finally get to your cabin and you can work out where you've got to go for the muster drill, you already have an idea of where it is because you've already walked that space, and that just gives you an overview of the ship when you first get on. So walk it. You'll get your steps in. Trust me, you will get your steps in. I remember being on one cruise. When was it? Oh, we're on Liberty of the Seas, and I had a group on there. And I had a pedometer on me, and because I have been for ages telling Brad, I got to figure out how many steps. I'm sure I'm walking a lot of steps these days. And this was at the time when the 10,000 steps a day was becoming the thing to do, or had just become the thing to do, somewhere around that time anyway. And so I had the pedometer on me, and I got back to the cabin one night, and I looked down at my pedometer, and I had like 9,600 and something steps done. And I said to Brad, I'm going to go walk a couple of laps on the jogging track. And I was getting up first thing in the morning and going and walking a mile on the jogging tracks. And the jogging tracks will have somewhere around the jogging track, there will be notices that tell you X number of laps equals this many miles, equals 1 mile. So it tells you how many laps you have to do to equal a mile, which is kind of handy, especially if you want to do like a 2-mile walk or something. And I think on this one I had to do 4, 5, 6. I think I had to do 10 laps to equal 2 miles. So it was kind of cool. So getting on there and walking around that. So I had 9,600 steps done, and I said to Brad, I'm going to go up and walk a couple of laps because I need to get my 10,000 steps in for the day. And so I went up to where the walking track was, and I walked around. And I will tell you this: it was 11:30 at night, and for me that's really late. Full moon, clear skies, warm temperatures. It was phenomenal up there. I was the only person up there just walking around the tracks. Yes, you had the breeze, you had the wind coming in from the front of the ship as it's moving through the water and everything, but we're in the Caribbean there. It was an absolutely gorgeous evening to be up there, and it was sort of like, I'd really love to have Brad up here with me and just have this nice romantic stroll with nobody around. So I got my 10,000 steps back, got my 10,000 steps in, went downstairs. Now in the junior suite next to us, we had 3 of the speakers sharing a suite next to us, and we had the wall between the 2 rooms on the balcony open. We had a connecting door, but we had that closed and locked. But out on the balcony, there was a movable wall that we had them open between the 2 cabins, so we were able to share that cabin space so the 5 of us could have. So I come back to the cabin, I walk into the cabin, my husband has already changed and in bed in his PJs. One of the speakers is fully dressed and in bed with him, going through all the photographs that he'd taken that day, and a couple of the others, and the other 2 speakers were like lounging on the couch and on the easy chair and that. So it was, and I like walked in, I'm like, what the heck is going on here? So there went our romantic stroll that evening. Because Brad was kind of our unofficial photographer on that trip. But lots of great memories of walking around the ships and stuff. So if you want to get your steps in, you'll definitely get them in on a ship, definitely. And my rule is, if I have to go more than 3 decks, then I'm taking the elevator. But if I'm going 1, 2, or 3, I take the stairs, up or down. It doesn't matter which, because you do get to eat a lot on a cruise ship. They feed you. They have amazing foods on cruise ships. I have yet to come across a cruise ship where the food was sort of like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that again. I've had amazing meals on cruise ships. Desserts, phenomenal. But yeah, so when you first get on a cruise ship, is take that walk around. Go have lunch, go for the buffet, and then go walk the ship. Get to know where things are. When you find the spa, go in and check it out, because they will do walking tours through the spa. Find out if they have any embarkation day specials. There was one time I got a full body massage, a scalp thingy bobby, whatchamacallit, and a facial for $120. So an hour-long massage, the scalp thingy treatment that they did, and a facial. I was there for like 2.5 hours. It cost me $120 for an onboard special, embarkation day special. The other thing you can do when you're at the spa is, if you want to do spa treatments later on, if there's certain ports you don't want to get off the ship at, is check out to see what port day specials they're going to be running on those days. Sometimes they will tell you in advance what they are. Sometimes you have to wait, but get your book. If you are into the spa treatments and want those, get those booked in as soon as possible. And embarkation day is the best day to do it. They will also have, if you're if you didn't pre-purchase drink packages or specialty dining restaurants and stuff, they will have tables out there where you can go purchase the drinks packages, or do specialty book specialty dining, that sort of stuff. But I will tell you, a lot of the cruise lines are now switching to, if you don't pre-order the drinks package before you get on the ship, they're going to charge a higher price when you're on the ship. So check that out when you're doing online check-in. Are you able to pre-purchase your drinks package, be it the alcoholic one or the non-alcoholic one? Check that out if you can do that. And also check to see if they mention on there that if you pre-purchase it, you'll get a discount. Some of the cruise lines are doing that, some of them aren't. So you can check that out as well. As you're walking around, you'll find other things. Shore excursions. I always tell people, book shore excursions before you go, because a lot of times by the time you get on the ship, a lot of the popular ones are already sold out. And if it's one that you really want to do, you need to get it in early, pre-book it. You can go through the cruise line. If you've got a travel professional, ask them if they have vendors in the different ports that do shore excursions, because sometimes that can save you money that way, or you get to do a different experience to what the cruise line is offering, or you can book through the cruise line. So you've got the options available, but your travel professional will be the one to talk to about that, because they can help you with all of that sort of stuff. So, and if you have any, how could I forget this one? This is the most important one of the whole thing. When you're walking around, if you have special dietary needs, go find the maitre d' in the main dining room, and they will usually have a line of people there who are wanting to switch their dining times, that sort of stuff. But let them know who you are, what your room number is, and what your food allergies are. My one's onions. It's onions. I used to have a whole list, but because I now take my biotics, my digestive system can now handle dairy and nuts. But onions, they still give me problems. So we avoid onions at all costs. And what they do is they will give you the menu. You have a look through the menu, you tell them what you want that evening, and they will see you. Typically, sometimes they can do it on that same day, depending what time you get to them. Sometimes it has to be something different. But what they do is that evening when you're at dinner, the maitre d' will come over, bring you the menu for the following evening. You then look through the menu for the following evening. You pick out what you want. You let them know. Then when you go into the dining room the following evening, you just let them know that you have a special meal that's already been ordered. And they then go and pull it up in the system to see, oh, yep, there's Helen. She's in cabin number blah, 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 blah. And she has an allergy to onions, and here is her special menu. And then, of course, it repeats every night. And if you're going to be doing specialty dining, they like at least 48 hours notice. So if you are booked in for specialty dining, talk to the maitre d', let them know you're booked in for specialty dining, when you're booked in for the specialty dining, and what your food allergies are and that sort of stuff. And they can pre-order stuff for you for when you go to the specialty dining restaurant. So that's what you do when you first board the ship. Buffet for lunch straight away, then start at the top, walk your way down through all the public space decks, find out gives you an idea where everything is. Check out the spa when you're walking along there, make any spa appointments that you want to. If you haven't pre-purchased your drinks packages or specialty dining or shore excursions, that's the time to do it as well. And here's the other reason you do shore excursions beforehand. We did a ship inspection on Allure of the Seas, and we were down there on the Royal Promenade. There was this huge line. Like, there was probably about 50 to 60 people in this line waiting to all lined up, and I said to somebody, I said, excuse me, I said, what are you standing in line for? And they said, oh, we're standing in line to book our shore excursions. And I'm like, well, you didn't book them before you got on the ship? And they looked at me like, oh, I didn't know we could do that. So book your shore excursions before you board the ship, so you get the ones that you want. Because by the time this person who was like number 50 in line got up to the front of the line, all the ones they probably wanted to do would have been sold out. So avoid disappointment on your cruise. Get as much done before you get on the ship as you possibly can. Book your drinks package if you want that. Book your shore excursions. Book your transfers. Anything that you can pre-book, specialty dining, anything you can pre-book before you get on a cruise ship, do it. Because if it's a popular activity that you're booking, then it can sell out very, very fast. Specialty dining. I mean, there's amazing restaurants on some of the cruise ships. I have a group that's going to be doing Alaska next year, and there's one restaurant that's on board the ship that I am super excited about, and we're actually going to include in their pricing for them to experience that restaurant on that particular on one of the nights that they're there. So yes, we can pre-book specialty dining for groups as well. So here's your list, and you get on a ship, buffet, walk around, book your spa appointments. In fact, some cruise lines will allow you to book spa appointments before you get on the ship. If you haven't already done your drinks package, your shore excursions, that sort of stuff, get that done. Visit the maitre d' if you have special dietary requirements. By that stage, if you've boarded the ship around 11, 12, by that stage, the rooms are now open. You can now go check out your room, take your carry-on luggage with you, and in your carry-on luggage, make sure you have your medication, that you have your travel documents, that put a change of clothes in there. If you want to go swimming once you get on the ship, make sure your swimsuit's in there as well. Because remember, your bags are going to be coming later. When you board the ship, they will be there hours later. They usually try and get them out before the ship sails. Sometimes they're delivered after the ship sails. So if you want to change your clothes or anything like that, or that, make sure it's in your carry-on. Travel documents, medications, stuff that you're going to need. Think of, what am I going to need before my bag? If my bag doesn't turn up till after dinner, what am I going to need on the ship with me before dinner? So toiletries, medications, travel documents. Travel documents is huge. The number of people that put their travel documents in their checked bags, and then they're trying to find them, and now they've got to somehow go find a porter to find their bag to get their travel documents out of there so they can check in to get on the ship. The number of people that do that is staggering. So make sure you always, always, always carry your travel documents in your carry-on with you. Never check your carry-on. Always have your travel documents in there. Your passports, your boarding passes, always in your carry-on luggage. Can't stress that one enough. And I've lost count of the number of times when I have been at a cruise terminal and somebody's gone, oh my gosh, I've left them in the suitcase, and the suitcase has been checked. It's like, seriously? What are they thinking? So make sure you carry your travel documents in your carry-on, please. Okay, so that's what to expect when you get on board a ship, and some other information as well. Hope you're having a super fantastic sparkling day. I know I am. I've got my Sunny's t-shirt on today. Felt like being a little colourful today. So have a super fantastic sparkling day. Remember, if you have a question regarding group travel, regarding individual travel, customized travel, land travel, cruises, if you have a question regarding those that you would like us to answer on a Facebook Live, drop me a private message and I will be more than happy to answer those questions for you on a Facebook Live. So Celeste, I hope we've answered your questions about what to do when you board a cruise ship. Have a super fantastic sparkling evening.